I want to name something that most people watching this won't say out loud. You're not someone that doesn't know what to do. You're not someone that doesn't have the skills or the commercial awareness or the ability to execute. You've been proving all of these things consistently, day in, day out, visibly at a high level, whether that's inside someone else's business or inside something you've already started. And yet, if you're still employed, the version of this that belongs to you does not exist yet. And you can't fully explain why beyond the collection of reasons that felt valid when you started to feel them and feel slightly less convincing now that you repeat them so consistently. And if you've already started, the revenue isn't doing what you expected it to do. You're working and you're active, you're being busy, you're not sitting still, and the months are still inconsistent. And somewhere underneath the public confidence is a quieter version of you that is beginning to ask yourself whether the problem is structural or personal. And the answer is structural in both of those cases. And the structure that's missing isn't anything that's complicated. So we're going to honestly name it and we're going to be specific around what that structure consists of so we can move past it. So let's do that. It's not a readiness gap. It's the removal of every other excuse. Now, when you're inside employment, you have leads that are provided for you. You have a product that exists underneath you. Your structure absorbs the underperformance. So you've got an excuse to pass on to someone else, and there's always some sort of external context. However, when you're building something of your own, the offer behind it is all yours. The pipeline is all yours. The delivery is all yours. There's no buffers. There's no unshared accountability. The accountability is all yours. So through success and failure, they both carry your name. And starting something on your own means the results, whether they're good or bad, is down to you. And that's the accountability that you need to take, and that's the accountability that most people are afraid of, and that's what's holding people back. The comfort here is not the reward. I mentioned on the previous episode that comfort is the thief of fulfillment. The comfort is the trap, because a good salary and a good commission, that can be great, right? It's real money, it's paying your bills, you feel in control. A strong performance record, you're being validated consistently, you've got respect, you've got predictable income, and there's another promotion that's waiting for you, whether you're a setter going to a closer, whether you're an SDR to an AE, whether you're a marketing exec to a marketing manager. You've got something on your journey which is there to keep you on the hamster wheel chasing the carrot. But that isn't success, right? That's an ideology of success, but real success is in ownership. So you need to reframe the exposure. You need to reframe the fear of ownership to be the point and not the problem. Because exposure often feels like a problem, because you're operating in a structure that's risky. You often face feelings of not being ready because everything feels chaotic, because everything is under your own control. But exposure is the reason why you're going to be able to grow, because when the results are entirely yours, the upsides are entirely yours as well, and the margin is entirely yours. There's no commission split. There's no margin going anywhere else. You have the same accountability that feels risky, which makes ownership worth having. Now, the exposure doesn't necessarily go away, but you need to stop letting exposure be the reason why you're waiting. And I'll tell you now that exposure and having that risk and diving into a system that isn't secure is risky, right? And that's fine. But that can't be the reason why you're telling yourself you're not ready, or why you need to develop more skills, or why you need to be in the industry for longer before taking action. It's all an excuse. So the mechanisms that most people skip, which is exactly what you need to do to turn that idea into reality, is the following 4 steps. First thing you need to do is you need to identify a problem. And this problem can't be a broad problem. It needs to be something really specific. And it needs to be something that you're already qualified to solve. Then you need to define your ICP. Now, who has this problem? Who has this problem most urgently, most expensively, most visibly? And again, you need to be super specific here. You can't be broad. Otherwise, your messaging isn't going to target the right person. Then you need to be able to package a solution. So it needs to be a deliverable in a clear time frame with a clear price, a clear before and after, and a defined product with an obvious outcome. Then you literally just need to get it in front of the right people. And this is your most unfair advantage, because you have a commercially valuable skill where you've been getting in front of the right people for other businesses, and you've done it before in the past. So you just need to apply that same skill to yourself. All of these 4 steps are within your existing capability. If you just apply your skill set to those 4 things, there's absolutely nothing that's going to stop you from turning your skill into a business. Now, you've probably asked yourself, or you probably told yourself the following things, and maybe there's a few more. But these are all encompassed in fear, right? I don't have the right business idea yet. Well, you're already doing something that the market pays significantly for. So the idea isn't what's missing, it's the application and the packaging of your skill for yourself. Now, you might say, I'm not sure that my skills are going to actually translate outside of employment. Again, that is all packaged in fear, because closing for an employer is a completely different experience to doing it for yourself. And in fact, it's far more enjoyable when you're doing it for yourself, because you have tremendous belief and faith in what you're delivering, because it's you. And then the timing isn't right? Now, structurally, this is the same objection that you've probably given yourself 6 months ago. 6 months ago, when you had the idea, you told yourself the timing wasn't right. And 6 months later, you still have the idea and you're still telling yourself the timing isn't right. The market isn't getting less viable. Timing will never feel right. And there is no such thing as the right time. The right time is always now. And the only time better than now was yesterday. So this is an exposure problem again. And it's wrapped up in this fear of an objection saying, I'm not ready to do it yet. And it's only fear. So you need to reframe your objections and understand that actually over time, you're going to be costing yourself far more than you would if you just didn't take action right now. Because if you was to build a business and you was generating 5 to 10K per month consistently, which is, by the way, very possible if you follow the right structure, the right systems, and you're relentlessly consistent, you're missing out on between 60 to 120K a year just through delaying this. And you might go back and say, 6 months ago, you didn't take action. 6 months later, you're still not taking action. That is a year where you've wasted potentially 120K plus. It could be more. You could be generating a far bigger business than you even imagined yourself. So you need to reframe your own objections that you're saying to yourself into something that doesn't kill your ambition. I am losing out on this much by not taking action. So here's the honest version of where you are. You're not someone who needs more information. You're not someone who lacks the skill or commercial awareness. You've been doing the work. You've been doing the real work, the validated work, the work that the market pays significantly for, and you've been doing that consistently. Whether you haven't started yet or you've started already, it's compounding and the gap is still the same. You're not extracting the full value of your commercial skill set. And the reason isn't complicated. It's just that extracting value requires a system. An offer that's specific enough to sell with confidence, a pipeline that's repeatable enough to rely on, an accountability structure that makes slipping back into the comfortable and familiar genuinely uncomfortable. That is the gap. Not the skill, not the ambition, not the decision. It's all in the structure. Now, the last video is going to walk through exactly what's required to build out that structure specifically. So I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.